Setien. Setien. That is the name of the new manager of Barcelona. It is confirmed. It has happened. I believe this is either the first time or one of the very few times that Barcelona have actually sacked a manager mid-season. So I want to just break this all down, because people were hounding me online, on YouTube, on Twitter and everything. So, yo, H, what up, baby? When are you going to break this down? Because, look, I had a lot of stuff to do on Monday, and I thought because this is such big news, I felt that I needed, just to break this down systematically and really cover this through all the facets. And, we really just talk about the different managers, the different people and so forth. So I think, we have to go in sort of chronological order. So, Valverde. Now, he was pretty much always gonna get sacked, and I think the key point that really just accelerated the process was the injury to Cannibal Suarez. I think that really accelerated everything, and I think once that happened, I think the higher ups, Bartomeu and so forth, they said to themselves that what, I don't really think. How can we move forward? How can we move forward with this dude if we don't have a main striker and we're already struggling? We're already struggling with the Cannibal Suarez, but now we don't have him. It's gonna be far too hard. So that injury accelerated everything. And you know what? For Valverde, he will say to himself that, I'm glad. Because he'll be like, what? You can't hound me. You can't get at me. And the key thing here is because, trust me, the Barca fans could be right. Setien could come in and they could be doing great. They could be doing amazing things, And then if suddenly they start playing a lot better, performing better, the results are better, then Barca fans, they're fully vindicated in how they attacked Valverde. But my gosh, don't you dare allow Barcelona to either play as bad or, dare I say, even worse. Because if that happens, then my goodness. Shock horror. Ernesto was not the issue. And I think if you look at Valverde's reign and so forth, people will say, was it successful? Was it not successful? Technically, it was successful. Technically, it was. Because, well, obviously, he didn't finish this season, but in the 2-3 seasons he was at, he won a trophy. He won a trophy, and last I checked, trophies equal success. Now, you say that based on who Barcelona are and based on what they should be achieving and based on the stature of the club and also based on the manner in which they exited the Champions League, then perhaps you will say that, he could have done better. But he's gone. It's finished. And I'm going to circle back at Valverde. But I'm just saying that, I feel that injury to Cannibal Suarez was the tipping point in the sense of we can't move forward with how this team is playing without a recognized striker under the tutelage of Valverde. We have to go in a new direction, and we have to go in a new direction now. Because again, once that injury happened, everybody was panicking. So you know what? Bartomeu said, look, I've got to rise. So before we really get to Kike Setien, let's just look at a few names that were sort of branded around. So let's look at Ronald Koeman. Now, I always thought that this would have been an interesting hire. I always thought this would have been an interesting hire in the sense of, I believe he played under the Cruyff team. I believe he was in the same team as Guardiola. You're looking at just what the stuff he is doing, what he did with Everton, what he's doing with the Netherlands right now. He's very much a manager who fits into the philosophy that Barcelona wants. He has the experience, good right age. It just seemed the right fit. And there were talks that after the Euros, Koeman would take over, or he would strongly consider taking over Barcelona once he had done with Netherlands with the Euros, because he just needs to complete this project first that he has started off with the preseason thing. So I thought that, it would have been an interesting hire. But I want to go through these managers and say why this is not even down to who the manager will be. But I thought this would have been interesting. Another one that was put around who I think would have just been a wrong fit is this dude. Remember him? Oh yeah, he's the dude that decided not to play the player who got them to the final, scoring a hat trick and a half, but instead decided to play a player who has been injured for 3-4 months. This brick. Again, he was another guy who was rumored. This would have been a very bad fit, horrible fit. It wouldn't have worked. He is a pragmatist, and it wouldn't have been that different from what Ernesto Valverde was doing, and especially coming into the situation that Barcelona find themselves in, and also with the fact that the feeling of Barcelona is we want to go back to how we played the quote-unquote Barcelona way. Ronald Koeman would have made a far more sense than a Pochettino. So I just think a Pochettino thing would have been a bad fit. And this was one that... Let's talk about this one. Xavi. Don't make the obvious mistake. And what do I mean by the obvious mistake? The world doesn't work like that. And what I mean by the world does not work like that. My gosh, we can have another Pep Guardiola story. We can have another Pep Guardiola fairy tale. A guy who played and was embedded into the system, learned the system, understands the system psychologically. He can go in. He can bring what he has learned psychologically into the coaching, and he can now bring that into the team. We can this be a rebirth of tiki taka? Again, I will get back to the point that people are missing. But for Xavi, doesn't really have the experience that Pep Guardiola had. Was not in close proximity to what Cruyff was about. And I just think he does not have the right kind of tools and experience for him to be successful with Barcelona. And it is wrong to think that this would be a Pep Guardiola reborn. Pep Guardiola was just a once-in-a-lifetime amazing fairy tale thing that just walked to supreme success, and it just is Pep Guardiola just happens to be just one of the great managers of this modern era. So, but with the Xavi thing, especially with how he's really been outside and not really within the Spain Barcelona framework, it wouldn't have worked, and it would have been a bad hire, and it would have been a sentimentality, passionate hire, not one made from logic or sense. And never ever go with your heart and your passion. You must always go with what makes sense, and this would not have made sense. So after all that, everything ended up with your boy, Setien. So I was reading a bit of Guillaume Balaguer's think piece on everything that happened on the BBC website. But I think one thing that I focused on was his admiration for Cruyff and how he wants his team to play. And I think, as Balaguer said, people have always said that the teams he's coached are pretty much the Barcelona of that league. So even in the lower leagues, the teams he's coached say, oh no, they play like Barcelona and so forth in terms of possession of football, protecting football. And Setien has said he is an admirer of Cruyff, and once he saw Cruyff, he totally changed his view on football. Now, people use the whole thing of like he's 61, is he a bit too old and so forth. Age doesn't really matter to me, really. Now that's irrelevant, And I think, unless you have a guy like a Nagelsmann who's like a crazy prodigy who's younger than me, I think the older the better, because I think if you're a manager, you need knowledge. You need knowledge, because it's management is a role for wisdom. It's a role for the wise. So. But the thing here with this Setien thing is, how do we break this down? I get the excitement. I get the initial excitement. We were unhappy with what Valverde was doing, unhappy with the substitutions, unhappy with his tactics, unhappy with how we were playing. So this Setien is going to come in and going to bring back the Cruyff way of playing, possession of football, protection of the football will now increase the possession stats that Barcelona had, and thus we can play well. And I'll be real with you, even if I feel that Frenkie de Jong is slightly overrated, he is still an extremely good player, and perhaps I will maybe slightly accept that Frenkie de Jong and Valverde is maybe a bad fit in terms of philosophies. So if a Setien is closer in a philosophy to a Ten Hag who is a Cruyff disciple, perhaps Setien can bring you the Frenkie de Jong of Ajax and Netherlands to Barcelona, which would be very important because he plays a very key role, i.e. the Xavi role of that Barcelona team, combined with Arthur as well. So that sort of makes sense. But I think, what I'm really getting at here is you need the personnel and you need the players. And I use the example of Ferguson. Ferguson is a great example. I'm going to use two examples. I'm going to use two examples, Ferguson and Pep. So let's just use this example of Ferguson. Ferguson had like a 20-year span of Manchester United. And in that 20 plus year span, he built maybe about 4 or 5 teams. And those 4 or 5 teams played differently. There was a general idea that he wanted to give his team in terms of counter-attacking and playing very economical, make the right footballing play kind of for football in general terms. But every time he would break down a team, rebuild a new one. Break down a team, rebuild a new one. The Nistelrooy era was very different to the Andy Cole, Dwight York era, very different to the Cristiano era, different to the Van Persie era, different to the Tevez, Rooney era. These are all different eras that's played slightly different tweaks of football. So he tweaked the way in which they played based on the players. Because that I couldn't just be married to one philosophy for my entire tenure. And my thing with Barcelona is that you want to bring in the Cruyff way of playing and so forth. So, and also I wanted to bring in the and this is where Pep comes in. Pep is now seeing that philosophy you have can't last you too long. There is a sell-by date on that philosophy. Like, it worked really well for Man City, boom, 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 like, scoring, blah, blah. But now you're now looking at what Liverpool have now done to them and now how other teams have now stepped up to them. And look at what Leicester City are even saying to them as well. And that philosophy is what he kept hold of for Bayern Munich and Man City. But neither of those teams touched a Champions League final. So, and the question about fans have to ask themselves that, are you just happy? Are you just happy to play good football? We don't live in an ideal world. Ideally, it would be great if back to possession, quality of football, great interplay, great one-twos, ball on the ground, built to the center of the pitch, nice through balls, nice interchanges where Messi leads it, movements off of the ball, and you're winning games. That would be great. But my thing is, De Jong isn't Xavi. Xavi is a once-in-a-lifetime midfielder. I say Xavi is... I don't think there's been a better midfielder in terms of protecting the ball than Xavi. Never been. There's never been. Iniesta is one of the best attacking midfielders that the game has ever seen. And there is no player on this Barcelona squad even close to what Iniesta was about. And Iniesta and Xavi were critical to that philosophy. You can't enforce a philosophy if you don't have the players. That's not how football works. That can't happen. You can try your best to coach them and coach them in the way of trying to do the philosophy, but that can only go so far. Because at the end of the day, you need the right personnel for the kind of football that you're trying to play. That's just a fact. But I think another point that people here are missing here is this dude. The board. The board is very important. And I think they always get lost because people are like, okay, it's the manager, that player, the manager, that player. But the board are the people who hire the manager, but more so than not, they're the guys who engineer acquisition of players. And anybody who plays Football Manager will know and everything. Like, the first thing you do when you open up a Football Manager is you go to that transfer market, player search, and like, okay, I want this defender on the right. I want this midfielder with high creativity. I want a striker who is fast and has good movement. Player acquisition is critical, especially when a new manager is coming in. The board must do everything in their power to give the new manager the players they want. Once they do that, then it's like, all right, 2-3 years in, you've not given me any trophies, I'm sorry. I've given you your players, it is what it is. But initially, that first transfer window, you must do everything you can to, at the very least, 80% of the players the new manager wants, you must give it to them. So, Barcelona, first of all, have the money. We know they have the pool. Do they have the money? Do they have the scouts? And they don't have the know-how to get the players that they want. Why didn't they get De Ligt? They were in for De Ligt. How did Juventus get De Ligt over Barcelona? How did that happen? Should we blame Bartomeu for Neymar leaving? Should we? I think I've got to look at Bartomeu, because for me, Neymar stays, this is a whole different situation. If Neymar stays, Valverde is still the manager of Barcelona, because if Neymar stays, Barcelona beats Liverpool in that second leg and Barcelona win the Champions League. If Neymar stays, Barcelona probably beats Roma, and then you know what, we have a fantastic El Clasico final between them and Real Madrid. But if Neymar stays, things are different. So people are just missing that whole thing there, because people have to. And I think this was mentioned. I think Daniel mentioned this on Talking Tactics. Shout out to Talking Tactics, where maybe the beginning of the end was Neymar, and Daniel may be right. Maybe the beginning of the end was Neymar, and you have to look at Bartomeu for why did you allow that guy to leave? Why didn't you put your arm around him and created an environment of like, Neymar, you are the future of this club, and you and Messi have to work out something, but we are going to show you as much love as Messi. We have to show Messi that love. But I'm going to talk to Messi and say, Messi, we have to have a life that exists when you leave. And that life that exists when you leave is Neymar. We always had it, Romario, Rivaldo to Ronaldinho, Ronaldinho to Messi. And it was supposed to be Messi to Neymar. But that's maybe going to be rebuilt. Maybe that bridge has been burnt. But the main man himself, Messi. Where does this leave Messi now? What is his feeling now? Because is Messi truly happy with this hire of this coach? I'm just saying. Because people will say, of course Messi is happy. He's now going to bring in a manager and a coach who is going to create a foundation and a blueprint that he is very aware of, one that he's very connected to, and a style of football that he grew up on from La Masia, Cruyff, protect the ball. But Messi did fight for Valverde. Messi did want to coincide with Valverde, and as much as people want to attack Ernesto Valverde, I think that if you were to take Messi in a private room, Messi will say we were to blame for that loss to Liverpool, not Valverde. Now, I may be wrong, but I'm willing to bet that if you took Messi, because you can say that in public, and I think it's the wrong thing to say that in public, chastising your players, so that shouldn't be done. But in a private room, if you were to speak to Messi one-on-one, Messi will say it wasn't Valverde's fault. We messed in true private, and this is just true private. Off the record, Messi will say, bro, Coutinho missed chances. Alba missed chances. Suarez, this dude, one Champions League away goal? What the hell were my defenders doing? PK ain't that good. How much do I have to do? Look at how much I create, how much I score, how much I create, how much I score. Do these clowns want me to score and create every single game? That's not how football works. That is stupid, and that is disrespecting what I do. Because if you had any respect for me, you would raise your game. You are actually disrespecting me and taking me for granted, thinking I will do everything in every single leg of the game. That's stupid. That's what Messi would say in private. He wouldn't say that in public. He would say that in private. So in closing here, this could work out. This could very well work out. I am not going to come out and say that Setien, no, this is going to be a mess and Setien is going to fail. Maybe whenever you have a loss or a setback, it galvanizes the squad. So everyone thinks Barcelona are done, they're finished, they have no striker. But maybe a new philosophy, a new way of playing can get the best out of the players. And remember, the ooze still exists. The ooze still exists. And I always said that Valverde and the ooze never sang off the same hymn page. So maybe Setien can come and be like, you know what, I believe in the ooze. I believe in Dembele. I'm going to get the best out of this dude. So this could turn out well to work. Long term. How good is it going to be? truly long term, does Bartomeu have a plan when Messi retires? Who is the superstar to take over? Anybody that says Antoine Griezmann, induct yourself. But look, man, I mean, for me, I just think it's all eyes are now on Barcelona. In my view, I still believe that they could still win La Liga. If he comes in and they're effective and everyone is playing well and he gets the best out of a De Jong and a Dembele, we have a great title race between them and Real Madrid. So don't sleep on them right now. I think that the Champions League is gone. Even if Setien comes in and he does a great job, this Barcelona side, I still believe in personality. You can be the best manager in the world. Personality is important. And I don't believe this side right now can beat a Liverpool, a PSG, or probably even a Juventus, as much as they're struggling, even a Juventus as well. But look, man, we wait and we see how things roll. Remember to like this video and remember to subscribe. Join up to become a Football Hut member. And stay tuned for daily footballing visits from your boy HH. Your boy's out. Become a Football Hut member and gain access to cool emojis on the live streams and get access to new YouTube content by clicking the join button here. And to view that new content, head over to the YouTube channel homepage and click on the community tab over here.